Now we begin with a group of thinkers whom Aristotle called the first philosophers. These are Thales, Anaximander, and Anaximenes. They lived in the 6th century BCE, that is, the century that ended 2.5 millennia ago. These three thinkers are called Milesians because they were citizens of the city of Miletus in Ionia, which is a Greek colony on the west coast of present-day Turkey. Now let's begin with Thales, who is traditionally considered the earliest in this group, and hence the first philosopher. A pair of stories about Thales, recounted by Plato and Aristotle, give us some of the flavor of what counted as philosophy in those days. Now, in the anecdote reported by Plato, which is DK 11a9, Thales is so busy gazing at the stars that he does not see what is in front of his own feet, and so he falls into a well and gets laughed at. Now, we use the expression stargazing to refer to abstract, absent-minded thinking. But in the case of Thales, we are talking about stargazing in the literal sense, the study of the stars and other celestial bodies. That is astronomy. Thales is an astronomer. But I thought Thales was the first philosopher. What does astronomy have to do with philosophy? To answer this question, let's take a look at the story that Aristotle tells about Thales. And here I'll quote. When people were reproaching him for his poverty, supposing that philosophy is useless, he learned from his astronomy that there would be a large crop of olives. Then, while it was still winter, he obtained a little money and made deposits on all the olive presses, both in Miletus and in Chios. Since no one bid against him, he rented them cheaply. Then, when the right time came, suddenly many tried to get the presses all at once, and he rented them out on whatever terms he wished, and so made a great deal of money. In this way, Aristotle says, Thales proved that philosophers can easily be wealthy if they desire, but this is not what they are interested in. Now, you might appeal to this story to reassure your parents when you tell them that you want to be a philosophy major, and they despair about whether you will ever be able to earn a living. But I want to focus on a different moral that we can draw from Aristotle's report. Aristotle tells us that Thales responds to the charge that philosophy is useless by showing that astronomy is useful. This shows us that in the period we are studying, astronomy counted as a kind of philosophy. While we would classify astronomy as a science rather than as philosophy, what Aristotle calls philosophy is broad enough, a category broad enough to include astronomy. Now, we have little further evidence about Thales' activity as an astronomer, beyond the report that he successfully predicted an eclipse in the year 585 BCE, but we do know about the astronomical inquiries of other Milesians, Anaximander and Anaximenes. They were interested in such things as the shape of the earth, the nature of the stars, the causes of eclipse, the orbits of the sun and the moon. They try to answer questions such as, why does the earth remain in place? What keeps the sun, the moon, and the stars and other heavenly bodies up above and moving in their distinctive courses around us? Now, we know today that some of the presuppositions of these questions are false. The earth is not stationary, and the moon, it turns out, is the only celestial body that orbits around us. But we have come to this understanding of our place in the universe as a result of thousands of years of astronomical inquiry. The Milesians are working near the very beginnings of this scientific tradition. Now, astronomy is not the only science that the Milesians are interested in. Thales, for example, offers an explanation of magnetism. Anaximander and Anaximenes develop hypotheses about the origin of life on Earth. And a later thinker in this tradition, Xenophanes, proposes a theory to explain the discovery of fossilized fish and leaves in stone quarries in Sicily. So in sum, the Milesians are engaged in a wide range of scientific inquiry into the natural world. We can call them naturalists or natural scientists. And in fact, naturalist is a pretty good translation of the label that Aristotle gives to them. He calls them physiologoi. The singular for that is physiologos. This is a label that comes from two Greek terms, physis and logos. Physis means nature, and it's the root of our very modern term, physics. What we call physics today used to be called natural philosophy, even in the time of Newton and later than that. Now, logos, the other part of physiologos, is that all-important term that we are on the lookout for in this course, a term which can mean speech, reason, account, or explanation. It occurs in the names we have for many other kinds of sciences: biology, the study of life, bios; zoology, the study of animals, zoa; anthropology, the study of humans, anthropoi. All of these modern-day sciences, along with many others, are engaged in the sort of inquiry that Aristotle calls periphysios historia. That is, inquiry, historia, sound familiar? Inquiry into nature. So biologists, zoologists, geologists, and anthropologists would all count as physiologoi, that is, naturalists. The important point to take away here is that Thales, Anaximander, and Anaximenes, as physiologoi, are the first natural scientists in the Western tradition.